Sorry, there are a few more people joining. Hello, welcome. So, well, this is whole and complete. All there is what seems to be happening, and it's naturally everything. That's what I mean when I say it's whole and complete. That's everything. It's not everything that exists or stuff like that. It's just complete, whole. It's everything. And at the same time, it's no thing. It's not something. It's not a circumstance. It's not an object. It's not a certain reality, so to speak. There isn't a certain way how this is. It's nothing. It's ungraspable. It's not an it. What seems to be happening is not an it. It's not something at all. So the whole impression of reality, the whole impression that this is something that happens, some kind of reality, comes from the sense of being a person, comes from the sense of I am. Because the sense of being a person is the sense to be something, a circumstance, to be something specific, me, some kind of entity. That's an impression, it's an energetic impression. I'm something that can be known and defined. I'm something that experiences itself to be in a certain way. And that's where this whole impression comes from, that reality is in a certain way, that reality is real in the first place, that there is something that really goes on and that it is in a certain way, exactly as I am me, exactly as I am in a certain way, namely me existing here now in time and space and reality. And so that's the impression. All seeking, all the ideas of an additional fulfillment in this seemingly real world also only happen for this me. It's a sense of lack that belongs to this experience and the attempt to get rid of this sense of lack. And that's also part of that dream, to be a separate person. But nothing else seeks. Nothing else in this whole apparent universe is a seeker. It's only the impression of seeking, or the illusion of seeking, only belongs to this illusion of I am, only belongs to this illusion of presence. That's why there's never a real answer to this seeking. The person is incapable of getting rid of the seeking, because they just belong together. They're just the same thing. Me and seeking are the same thing. And the attempt to get rid of the seeking is just futile. It's inevitable, of course, as long as there is the sense of I am, there will be seeking. It's inevitable. On the other hand, you can't get rid of it. It's impossible that the person can get rid of the seeking. What we talk about here is not how to get rid of the seeking, for example. What we talk about here is that this whole bundle, this whole personal world that I just described somehow, doesn't exist. It doesn't have any substance. It's not real. There is no real seeker, and there isn't anyone who really lost something, and there isn't anyone who needs to seek to be fulfilled, to become whole, to become free, to become whatever the person longs for, whatever the person thinks it needs to be happy. There is no one is unhappy, and no one needs to become happy. That's operating in an artificial world. So all there is what seems to be happening, including oneself, so to speak, without there being a self, of course, one's own body, let's put it like this. And it's naturally whole and complete already. It doesn't need any additional realization or any future realization, like, oh wow, I got it, or I'm liberated now or something. Stuff like that won't happen. And fortunately, it's not needed. There's just this. And this is absolutely fine being itself, being this. Well, I think that's it basically. So in case there are still questions, we can, yeah, think we can clarify them now. Just turn on your microphone if you want to say something, or you can write in the chat and I will read it and maybe probably say something. Probably I'll say no thing.
Hello, Andreas.
Hello.
I have a question, please. What is your definition of seeking?
Seeking, the definition of seeking.
You said in the introduction that the person is the only creature that seeks.
Well, yeah, that has, well, it all goes together in a way. It's the illusion of a dynamic. Like I am someone and I'm on a path. I'm on a path towards something else and I have to do something. I have to be this center, this sense of I has to be in a certain way. It has to use its attention and awareness. It has to throw its attention onto something, hoping that it gets something back. It's energetic.
My question is, what is that thing that the person wants to achieve or to have?
Well, in the end, the person has no idea. It has no idea what it wants to achieve. All it knows is this can't be it, and there must be something else. But it has no idea what it's actually looking for.
Exactly, because even if the person puts a goal and seeks for it, and after a while the achievements happens,
yeah,
it's still not enough for the person.
Exactly. I mean, one could say what the person longs for, but not really consciously, is this an ongoing experience where just everything is good, where I know that I've arrived, where I am loved and free as a person, as a me. It looks for this experience of just being without seeking. That's what it longs for. That finally it's all good for me, of course, and that finally this state remains. I mean, the person experiences seemingly good states again and again and again, and it thinks so many times like, oh, now I got something. Now I feel really good. But it hopes that one day this will stay.
Exactly, yeah.
And then it then it invents spiritual names for it. He calls it enlightenment and self-realization and all that. But it's just longing for everything being good finally. For me. That's the longing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. And the other things, what the person thinks it needs to feel like that, those are just tools. The perfect partner, enough money, spiritual insights, wisdom, knowledge, adventures, security, whatever it looks for. All it looks for is actually this experience of when I don't have to seek anymore, I can just be without any disturbance and it'll always be good. course, it'll never come, of course. Because it was never not good. It's a dream. This experience of I am, and this is not good or not enough. That's dreamt. And it's this energetic impression. It's not conceptual or something. It just feels like that when there is the sense of a person that subtly, this isn't everything. Subtly, I am threatened. I'm separate from love. I'm separate from freedom. I'm something else. I'm me, and I'm separate from this, and I have to find my way back. But that's a complete dream. What happens is whole and complete, which is love and freedom, but not for anyone. It doesn't need anyone for it to experience it. Could one say that the I is simply a function of the brain that mistakenly believes itself to be an underlying essence? Well, of course one could say that, but I wouldn't say that because that gives it way too much reality. It's not a function in the brain. It doesn't exist. Otherwise, I mean, I would somehow be open to this possibility, but I don't think that my brain is functioning very differently. It's really ungraspable. It's ungraspable what we talk about.
I have a question.
Yes, please.
So if there's some kind of intuition about what was just being said, but there's still the arising or coming up of a need to take responsibility for something, like in apparent human interactions, there's a sense of, wanting to change something or take responsibility for something or make something better. Is that can those things all exist at once?
Well, yeah, kind of. I mean, what seems to be happening? Well, what's the question exactly?
I mean, there's no need to resolve that nagging discomfort with a sense of personal responsibility or...
Oh, well, if that's what happens, that's what happens.
Yeah.
Well,
it seems as though there's been actions or processes that have resolved things like shame. And
oh, that's all right. That's cool. If that's what happens, that's what happens. Why not?
But they're not very long-term effective.
Oh, well, yeah, of course. Well, all right. Well, yeah. So then that's what happens as well. That it's just there was this illusion of a process that actually didn't resolve anything.
Right. Okay.
The resolving, in the story one could say resolving would just be dropping, but that's never because of issues being resolved. It's just when the person drops, the whole energy of the issue just drops away, but not because anything gets resolved or healed or stuff like that.
Right. And that's... So then why is it dropped?
Well, the dropping is apparent, of course. It's not really dropped, and it's not dropped by someone. But of course, shame, for example, would just drop over time because there is no one there anymore to be ashamed. Well, the person would somehow, if there is someone, the person is somehow working with shame, and it would find temporary solutions or answers to this. And then it has the impression of, oh, I solved it, or I'm on a path of solving it, but then it will come back at some point, and it'll be there again. But then the person will say, oh yeah, but I'm on a path, but certain things may just drop when the sense of I am drops.
Yeah.
But then this wouldn't have anything to do with the person's idea of healing or resolving of issues.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's no more like picking it up from other apparent people when there's no
What do you mean picking it up from other people?
well, this what apparently happens here is through, and it could be incorrect, but through especially my job, there's just an immersion in all of the most negative human emotions.
Oh, well, yeah, that can happen, of course. Oh, yeah, of course, there isn't a separate body. So, of course, if you enter a room where there is a certain emotional atmosphere, let's call it, then, of course, the body might pick that up and feel in the same way.
Yeah, and then
Of course. But there wouldn't be anyone who's immersed in that. It would just be what seems to be happening.
okay, yeah,
And maybe turning around and leave, which might not be happening in the office, but
I've quit a few times and I keep going back. Okay, well,
there wasn't a suggestion here. If that's what happens, earning money in that way, but yeah, picking up energies, atmospheres, feelings might happen. Why not?
okay, thank you.
Thank you. Of course, this body here isn't cut off or something. It's undivided. Besides that, that's it. There's no message. There's no suggestion, no ideas on how anyone should be. There isn't anyone, and what seems to be happening is all there is, and it's naturally whole and complete, timelessly, so to speak, or in the story, always whole and complete. For no one, of course, there isn't anyone who achieves that or arrives in that, but that's also completely unnecessary. The me world is an artificial world which doesn't have any substance or any kind of autonomous existence. There isn't anyone. Thank you very much for joining. I wish you a lovely day still and have a good time. Thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thanks, Andreas.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.